Hello, welcome. My name is Amber and this is my channel, A Foxglove's Handiwork. Today's video is all about visual mending. So mending to garments in a way that one can see the stitches and the mending that happened, but in a way that is done with care, tasteful, and shows the story of the garment, of where that garment has been through. I have 3 items that I'll be sharing with you of how I chose to visually mend them. The first garment that I'm going to mend is this beautiful wool, kind of Pendleton looking button-up. It is not Pendleton. I got it at a yard sale, just a few dollars, I believe. And I don't see any tags, but it is definitely wool. It's this beautiful kind of light blue periwinkle with gray and turquoise. And it has some little holes. So right here, there's a little hole, but there's a major hole in the elbow. So right here. You can see someone had attempted to mend it. There's quite a bit of this kind of blue thread. However, this corner or this elbow is in dire need of some tender love and care. So since this is quite a hole, I am going to use this purple wool fabric that I've used to make some mittens. See, I've already cut from quite a bit of it. And I'm going to use this as a patch. And instead of a traditional patch that would go on top and kind of covering the frayed edges, I am envisioning putting the purple on the inside and then using a blanket stitch or some embroidery stitches to, attach the plaid sweater or shirt with the patch. There you can see the hole. I'm going to kind of get a measure to help me determine how much of the purple I need to cut. So I'm gonna say 4 inches by 3. Lined up my 4. Here is the patch. And I'm going to place it inside of the shirt. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna get rid of some of this previous mending. But I don't wanna get rid of all of it. I kind of like the idea of some of it still remaining. Helps tell that story of this shirt. I'm gonna cut the edges so that this patch is oval shaped. And the reason I'm doing this is so when I stitch the patch to the edges of this patch to the garment, we'll have this beautiful oval shape. And I've tried this already a couple times, trying to get this patch pinned in here. And I just want to make sure that I'm covering the entire hole. I actually think maybe we'll go like that. And because the patch I'm using is pretty thick, I can feel the edges there. And I want to be sure that the edge of the hole has a good buffer, kind of see that, of the patch. I need to choose the thread color as it will be visible. I want it to be complementary. And I picked out these two purples because they are similar to the purple patch, but they're kind of a little bit bright for what I'm envisioning. This blue is almost the same as the blue on the jacket, but it's a little bit different, has a little bit of purple. So I'm gonna go with this kind of blue color. Actually gonna carefully inside this out because I mentioned I wanted to see the oval. So to make it easier to actually see it, I'm just gonna do kind of a, should I do a whip stitch? I might do a whip stitch. That'll give it these kind of a sunburst of little rays. And to just confirm what that will look like. Oh, I think that's beautiful. So I'm gonna keep going. So I finished sewing around the patch, revealing the circle. Yay, I am really happy. I can remove these pins as they are no longer necessary. The next step is so I have the flaps, right, is sewing these down using different embroidery stitches to keep those down. And that's where some more of the creativity comes in. Go with my original idea of doing a blanket stitch around the edge here to secure it down.
And now for the final reveal. Here it is.
The next garment I'm going to mend is this wool button-up, another one. I am a little biased, I love my wool, and it's a bright red kind of hunter's jacket. It is, I think it's vintage. The tag here says Outdoors, New Era. It's kind of hard to see because it's striped, the color. Got some fading, or not fading, but dye. And it has a rip here. So this is what I'll be mending on this garment. I have a red wool button up already. And so I'm thinking that, oh, and here on the sleeve, I didn't even notice this. I'm thinking I would love to resell this. And in order to do that, I want it to be mended. So the first step is mending this together. So I have some red yarn, and I think this is wool. it's kind of scratchy. So I'm choosing this over embroidery thread since it's similar to the garment. This yarn is a multiple ply, and it's a 3-ply. I'm going to spread them apart and use one strand, which you can still see is a double ply within itself. So I think that should be sturdy enough. Since yarn can be sometimes hard to thread, I chose a very large needle. I find that looping the yarn, and then I hold my fingers really close so that the strands are folded over and kind of pinch them together. I find that's helpful. Doesn't always work the first time, but that's my little trick. And type of stitch. I thought it'd be kind of cool to do like an X stitch. Since this garment I'm potentially reselling, the mending will be visible, but not quite as visible as the first garment I did. So I was doing an X pattern, but then I noticed the yarn here, or fabric, was a little thin. And of course, with the mending, not only do I want to stitch together this rip, but I also want to make this stronger and make sure that I'm putting the yarn thread through secure fabric that's not going to unravel. So, not quite following my pattern, but and I find that putting my finger actually on the stitches helps to put less tension on the garment as well.
I did finally get into a groove of this X stitch. Looking back at the video, I wish I had put a piece of fabric underneath just to give some more strength. Some of the holes that the stitches have gone through, you can see, are kind of large. So that is something that I learned from this crafting project. At the hem, I really wanted to make sure that this was secure. So the stitch I'm doing is just a whip stitch kind of over and over again to really secure the stitches in place. So for the tail, I'm going to kind of weave it back up through the back side of my stitching here so that I can tie off and it won't be very obvious where it is. Here is the finished mending. Looks like an F. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I got a system for making these X's. Delicate, but this will certainly do. It mends that rip. So I noticed on this cuff here, it's a little worn on the edge. And so the liner is poking through. I'm going to use the same thread that I'd used and just do some really tight whip stitches together to help bind and mend that edge. I have my knot. I'm going to kind of hide it by laying it on top of where I'm going to be mending. I'm going to try and sneak it in between the fibers if possible, but the idea is that I will stitch over it. Oh. This weaving is loose, that knot didn't quite catch, so I'm going to kind of hold it there and begin my whip stitches. I'm going to actually go back further than where this came out, using my finger to pinch so it doesn't pull through, and begin my whip stitches. So you can see where the mending is mending. I am kind of going back and forth on spots, just to ensure that the white is covered. It's kind of the liner being such a contrasting color really helps me to see that, like, yep, it's been covered, or nope, not quite. Can't get into sewing without finding some knots. Let me know in the comment, are you the type of person who enjoys undoing the knot, or are you someone who just snips it and starts fresh? I have definitely been both. I kind of do like trying to untie it, kind of that puzzle aspect of it. Sometimes it's just too frustrating to gotta snip it. So let me know, what do you do down in the comments below? So I've finished the last part here. I'm going to slip the needle underneath those stitches like before, poke it through about 1 inch down, and then I'm gonna tug this just a little bit so there's some tension and cut it. This is hard to show. So that when you pull it back to release that tension, the end of the string goes underneath the garment. And there, this didn't turn out quite as nice there, but this looks really good right through there. I have completed the mending. Let's try it on. Ta-da! This one's a little small on me. I probably wouldn't wear this for myself, but it's kind of cute how it's a little short. If you have any thoughts and recommendations on how to mend this part, totally forgot that this was missing, so I had not planned to mend it for this video, but definitely take your suggestions. But for the part I was wanting to mend, I think it turned out really well. Thank you so much for following along. On my channel, we do all sorts of handiwork, from crafting to thrifting to styling to DIYs. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed,
Please check out my other videos. It would mean a lot to me. I do so many different things. Sometimes you just never know what you're gonna get. But you do know it'll be crafty, it'll be thrifty, it'll have my sweet self. So I also have an Instagram at a.fox.gloves.handiwork for more content, more finds, more thrifting, more crafting. And until next time, bye. Thank you.